Okay, guys. What I was talking to the students about, and they had some questions, is that, like, say you're in the middle of a paragraph right here, and let's just say the judge is talking, blah, 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 and what the attorney wanted was from where he ruled on down. So he just wanted a copy of the ruling. But the judge has been talking for about 2 pages, and now he's going to start his ruling on this paragraph. If you do a page break there, it's not going to do it. Okay? So what you need to do is go in there and do F2, go in there and select the court, or if it's not in there, it should already be in there, but if it's not, then you just create it. And it sets it up as the court in colloquy. And then, you know, all of this was the court too, but he didn't want that. He went from the ruling down. So this is going to be a totally separate thing, one of those things that you copy and paste into a totally different file, because he just wanted the court's ruling. Okay? So then you go through, create the court, and from there on down, that's where he ruled. Okay? So now you want to go through and make it a totally separate page, because he wants it as a totally separate document. So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can do the page break, which is Alt N, do a page break right there, and it breaks right there. So it's going to break it away from this onto a totally separate page. You see where it's, you know, it ended on line 6, and it still has the rest of the lines there, but since there's a page break and there's nothing there, it's not going to go down every line. It's going to finally cut it to the next page. Okay? So then what you do is you have to be real careful with this. Pay attention. You have to be real careful, because if you mark it from right here on down, when you go to paste it, it's not going to have the court on there. Okay? It's only going to mark from where you marked it on down. So now what you need to do is go up to the next line right here where it shifts and arrow over to the page break where you're right there. Now you do F7, and now it marks the court. You see how it did that? Slick? You know how to get there?
F7.
I'm going to smack you. How did you get the court in there?
I don't know.
You get on the line where it's the page break. Okay?
You go to the previous.
So if you like, it's not going to mark it from right here. So if you mark from right here, now it's just going to start marking from there on down. It's not going to have the court, but you want from there on down. Okay? So what you do is come up, arrow over, get you to the page break. Because if you go from there and just arrow down, it doesn't go to the page break. Also, when you print this, if you were to print that whole document, it doesn't show page break on there. So things like that, it doesn't. That's for your editing purposes only. It doesn't show up when you print. So it's only going to show up as nothing. It's just going to go to line 6, and then it's just going to go to page 2. You see what I'm saying? It's going to show all these other lines, you know, from 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 25, and they're going to be blank. That's all it's going to show. So if something ever does that, and it's like, well, I didn't do that, and it's all supposed to be together, then you probably have a page break in there, and you can't see it. So what you need to do is come over, arrow over, and just keep going over until it gets to the page break. And to take the page break out, you do Control Y. Takes it out. Okay? Or you can come down to this, and you want to put it together. Control J does what? Joins. So you do Control J, and see how it put it right there on the page break? Yeah. You don't want it there. Control J one more time, now puts it back together with the other thing. Okay? But to print it, you need to get to that page break line and mark from there down.
That's just to include the court.
Yeah.
Or to include whoever's.
Yeah. Okay? Got it, Slick?
Yes.
How do you do it?
I don't know if you're asking, but I'm excited because...
Exactly.
Well, I've been messing around with it, and I have the witness on top. So I arrow, and then if I want to join it, like this. If I want to separate it.
Okay. And say you want to mark that? You want to mark from there on down to make it another, say you want to mark it and make it another file. Go up. Yeah. Now you mark it from the page breakdown, and then that'll include the witness. Now mark it. F7, or, and then just arrow down. See how it included the witness? Now the witness is in there. So now you're good to go. So you mark that, do Control C, copies it, Control V, paste it. Okay? You don't have to do that now. But that's the whole point of the page break. Okay? Any questions about that?
Let's see how page breaks and conditional page breaks work. If all you want to do is force a page break at this spot so that examination will begin the next page, then you can press Speed key Alt-N to open the Print Commands dialog. Page break is the first choice, so if you press the Enter key, that's okay. But there's also a small print command icon on the Edit toolbar.
That's another reason you want a page break, okay? You never start examination on line 24. 25 is in, or has the byline on 25, and then the question starts on 1. You always want that on the same line. You always want examination by Mr. Griffin, question on the same line, okay? So if you have examination on 25, by on 1 and question on 2, you don't want that, okay? You always want that on the same page. Got it?
So examination does not have to start on its own page, but it does have to go with the byline.
It does have to go with the byline, and it has to go with the cue. So it doesn't matter where it starts, okay? It can start on line 13, examination, byline 14, question 15. It doesn't matter. You don't have to start it on a new page, but it should never be at the bottom of the page. All right? It should never stand alone. Got it?
And print commands are also an item on the Edit menu. Another great option is to use conditional page breaks if you want text like examination to always be on the same page as the line that follows. So here, if I set a conditional page break to keep these two lines together,
and that's what you have to do when you set up your examination, is make sure that you have a conditional page break, so if it is at the bottom of the line, it's never going to put it at the bottom of the line. And that's what it's telling you right here with a conditional page break. You get that? So you don't have to worry about it. You put it, and the value, you want it with 3. Really, it's with 3, because you want examination, by, and question. Okay? Got it?
then Eclipse will automatically force a new page to begin with the word examination.
But see how they do it? Theirs is different, so that's why it's 2. Okay? See how they set it up?
Then Eclipse will
See how they do that? And it's by Mr. Question, and then it starts going right here. That's not how you do it. That's not how we do it here. Okay? It's examination by Mr. Question over here. So that's 3 lines. Okay? Got it? The way that they're doing it is 2, and that's why they put a conditional page break of 2. Because you always want these 2 together, is what he's telling you. But here, you want all 3 together. Okay? Got it? Slick?
Yeah, you're saying that we don't set up our byline like that.
No, the byline's not going to go like this. Not here. I've never seen anyone do it like that here. Okay? the by always is always on a line by itself.
And it'll say bye, Mr.
By Mr. Griffin, question over here, and it starts right here. Okay? It's not question by Mr. Griffin, blah, blah, blah. All right?
Is the other
Automatically force a new page to begin.
Do what?
Is the other way acceptable as well, or should we always use a conditional page break in the event that the examination is on the previous line above, like on page 1?
You're always going to want that conditional page break.
Okay.
You're going to want that conditional page break because you always want this, this, and this together. Always. And if it's not, then you set it up wrong, and you need to make sure that it's on the other line. So if you have examination on line 25, by on 1, question on 2, you've done it wrong. Something's wrong.
So you can't do a page break on line 25 with examination. With the examinations on, I'm just asking, like, does it matter if we use a regular page break versus a conditional page break? Is what I guess.
Well, the conditional page break is when you set it up. So when you set up this examination,
Okay.
you want it set up with a conditional page break. And we'll do that in the block files.
Okay.
The block files is going to have it. It's going to have the conditional page break. Okay? But the page break is if you messed up, somehow didn't set it up right, and this thing is on 25, 1 and 2, then you did something wrong. No big deal. Go up to 24, go to the end of the sentence at 24, hit page break, and it'll set that on the next line. Okay? Got it? Slick?
In with the word examination. So when you're creating your block files, think about using conditional page breaks.
Got it? That's what a conditional page break is. So it's conditional. So if it starts on line 13, examination, byline is on 14, questions on 15, it doesn't do anything because it's a conditional page break. But if you put a regular page break in there, it's always going to put it on the next page. So that's why you have to be careful on what's a page break and what's a conditional page break.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
On a conditional, it keeps those things together. And it knows to keep those things together. So if it ends up on 25, it automatically puts it as a condition. But if you put it as a page break, then it's automatically going to put it on the next
Every
page.
time
So
you
you
have
don't want it.
examination.
You want to be careful where you use those page breaks. Okay? Write that down. Or don't, whatever.
Let's see how to insert graphic links in your Total Eclipse documents. Let's assume that a graphic file has been prepared ahead of time, perhaps for a logo, or a photo of a witness, or a scanned exhibit, perhaps for a logo, or a photo of a witness, or a scanned exhibit. What you're seeing here is the result of inserting within my Eclipse text document a link to the graphic file. The graphic is not actually in my Eclipse document, but the link lets me see it in this spot. If I print a hard copy version of this document or use PDF Creator to distribute an electronic version of the document, the end result will be that I will see both my Eclipse text and the graphic. To insert a graphic link, I'll position my cursor.
Guys, I have no idea what they're doing here. I have no idea. And I think it's probably a little bit more than what you'll ever use. I've never used that before. So, I don't think you're going to need that. Okay, macro commands. These are pretty neat, so pay attention. you already probably have them in your computer, so.
Auto replacements are great for speed typing, but macros are even more powerful because they roll multiple steps into one command. Here the witness was still talking when the questioner interrupted. I've created a butting in macro for you. You can use it anywhere in this paragraph to put in the dashes that will indicate interrupted speech. To create a macro command, start by analyzing the editing steps you want to automate. Here are the steps that I want in this macro command. I'll go to the end of the line, and then move up 2 paragraphs, and then move 1 word to the left, and then give the command to put a dash at the end of the sentence, and then move down 2 paragraphs, and press the hyphen key to insert a dash. Settings, Edit, Macros. Let's create a new macro and add commands. The commands are listed in menu order. My first step will be to go to the end of the line. And now I'll add the command to go up a paragraph. I'll do this twice. Now I'll move 1 word to the left and put a dash at the end of the sentence. Now I'll move down a paragraph twice and put a hyphen in, which will insert the dash at the beginning of the sentence. I'll name the macro and give it a speed key. This will work only when hyperkeys are on, and it will be Shift B or capital B. Of course, I could also create a dictionary entry, which is what I would do if a macro is to be used for editing from the steno keyboard, but this is the subject of a separate presentation. So now I'm ready to leave the user settings.
That's intricate.
Way, way more than what you need. And really what these macros are, and get into something right now, and I'm going to show you what a couple of them are. So say you're right there, stay right there. Get on so. Get on the beginning of a speaker. Just anywhere, doesn't matter. Right there on became, doesn't matter. Right there. And do 3, F3. Okay. Get right there and do F3 on so. Okay, so you have it right there. So now they just said, okay, well you didn't put it in there. Okay, no big deal. Do Alt 1. Alt 1. Put it on became. 1, not F1. See how I put OK? So this is something that's already in there. Now in the same place, do Alt 2. So OK and all right are already in there. Do Alt 3. See how I did that? How I put you know? So it's always, it knows to put the commas in there and stuff, because people always say you know, and that's already set up. That's what's called a macro. Okay?
So no matter what the situation is, you know will be surrounded by commas?
Not necessarily.
Auto replacement.
Not necessarily. But they're always, usually when they say you know, it's usually always going to have commas. Okay? But if it doesn't, and they just say, you know that guy that went over there, and you need to put it in there, instead of typing it, you can do Alt 3 and then just go back and backspace on the things, and it takes them out. It takes out the commas.
Unless they said, like, you know, that guy that went over
You know, that guy that went over there, now it needs to be, yeah.
That guy that went over there.
That guy that went over there, you know, he's not a very good guy. You know?
'Cause
That's-
there's 2 different ways they're saying it. 'Cause
Yeah.
they say, that
You know that guy? Well, you have to be careful and listen and pay attention to the way that they're saying it, because the way that you punctuate it means two totally different things, okay? So you have to be careful with punctuation. Got that? All right. And that's what they're telling you right there. Alt 1, 2. Let's see what 4 is. Do Alt 4. Uh-huh.
I can never spell it right. Or I can stroke it out right.
I thought, would be UH, but in the UFM, they write it HUH, Yeah.
You say,
But we should go by that.
Yes, right.
It's HUH.
Let's see how to take advantage of the Total Eclipse Real-Time Editing Kit. When you install Total Eclipse, you're automatically given a large number of macros. Here's a macro group that's used by hyperkey B. The macros that begin with CC are used by closed captioners. If a macro's name ends with HYP, it's used by hyperkeys. And if it ends with RT, it's part of the real-time editing kit. The best way to master the skills of the real-time editing kit is through the ePower video tutorial entitled Keyboard Magic. The tutorial creates a separate user area where you can safely experiment without any risk to your dictionary or job files. There are more than 50 short lessons, each with a video demonstration. And the tutorial presents the skills of the real-time editing kit in a logical order. It starts with simple skills like going back to a previous question or answer for readback, and gradually works toward more complex skills like fixing paragraphs or fixing conflicts. And of course, it eventually shows you how to global from the steno keyboard. It also includes complete documentation with step-by-step explanations so that you'll understand what goes into a macro and perhaps be able to create some of your own. Editing from the steno keyboard means you'll have less work to do when you get home. It makes the job more interesting, and you can do it.
Way more than what you're going to need right now. But, huh? What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, you, so it's like you're filling in whatever you didn't get in the record is basically what you would be using it for. Like say if it was supposed to be all right, you know,
Yeah.
you would use all these macro
Mhm.
keys as you're editing along.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's stuff that you don't have to type in. It's already stuff that's already there. And it's stuff that you're going to use a lot. All right, okay, I mean, you know.
How does Total Eclipse know that mile is a measurement, but Mr. is a title? It checks the meta dictionary. Let's see. User settings, programming, meta dictionary. When you install Total Eclipse on your computer, a default meta dictionary is created for you automatically. As a new user, you shouldn't play with it right away. But with a little help from technical support, you can customize it to meet your needs. I'll put my cursor on the line for April and use the Modify button to see what it means. In your standard Steno dictionary, you would just have an entry for April, but the meta dictionary is hiding this additional information for the translator. That is, when Eclipse translates the entry for April, it first puts in the plain text. Then it gives a command to the number conversion system that if the very next thing is a number, it should not be written out, but it should be a numeral. I'll go to the line for acre and to see what it means. Again, in your standard Steno dictionary, acre would look very simple, but the meta dictionary hides the magic. Acre is a singular measurement. That involves automatic hyphenation when you write a number other than 1 for this singular measurement, such as 25-acre plot. If you don't find the automatic hyphenation helpful, you could drop down the list of entry types and look for plural measurement, which would not involve the automatic hyphenation behavior. Additional information on the meta dictionary can be found in the help topics. Just type in the keyword meta dictionary. More information is also available in the Translation Magic ePower video tutorial, which offers several step-by-step video demonstrations.
A little more than what you need. But did you get it?
I get it, but at that point, I just go add my little hyphen.
Yeah.
And my S.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's more stuff than really what you need, okay? But it's showing you how to set it up, do it. But a lot of it, you're gonna have to go online and kind of do, they have another tutorial that you can do it on.
I feel like a lot of it's already set up.
Do what?
I feel like a lot of this stuff is already set up.
It is. It is. So they're just going over stuff that's already set up. But if you want to go through and change it, modify it, this is how you do it. And that's why they're telling you, as a new user, you probably don't want to go in there and mess with it too much. Matter of fact, I've never gone in there and messed with it. That mouse and menus we've already done. I think this stuff we've already done. Moves and scans. So all of that's the stuff in hyperkeys. how to move up, down, side to, right to left, blah, blah, blah. Stuff we don't need to go over again. Go to page, you know how to go to page, right? Alt G, Alt G, go to page. All of this is stuff we've already done about scans, untranslates, conflicts, stuff like that. They're just kind of going over it again. This is find and replace. So they're telling you F, search forward. Control L is find the next word that you just tried to find. Same thing. So a lot of this stuff that we're doing is stuff that we did in Eclipse 1. It's just more in depth, okay? So a lot of the stuff, you're already going to know how to do it. So this, what they're talking about on the numbers, we just moved to numbers on the tutorial on the numbers. It's the same thing, okay? We've already gone over it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But if you write out 5, then it needs to be spelled out 5. But if you use the number, it doesn't need to be defined, okay? Because it's already defined. Got it? Yes? Same with hundreds, thousands, dollars, all of that stuff. You don't have to get real fancy with it. It's just putting the brackets around it, 1,000, close bracket, okay? Same thing with dollars. When they say point, it needs to be decimal. Remember that? Yes? So it automatically knows. Now you can't write it the same as you write point. When they say 1.3 and you do 1, number 1, P-O-I-N-T, 3, it's not going to come out the same. It's going to come out 1, P-O-I-N-T, 3. It's not going to come out as the decimal. Okay? Because you have to write it differently and you have to define it differently. Okay?
Yeah, I write PNT for point.
P-O-I-N.
No, I write PNT.
Oh, you
for
do?
decimal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
PNT.
point, when they say
And then point, I
get to the
write
point,
out.
P-O-I-N-T?
P-O-I-N-T.
Okay. Are you bored or what?
What?
You just kind of rolled your eyes.
When?
Hmm?
I didn't know about
You don't
it.
even realize you're doing it.
I guess not.
Are you tired? You all right? All they're going through here is just the different currencies that they use in the different countries. Don't really need it, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, or any time. Okay.
A few adjustments to your phonetics table can really help Total Eclipse tune in to your writing style. It will then do a better job of translating steno that's not yet defined in your dictionary, and it will also offer better suggestions for global magic. In the Translate section of your Eclipse user settings, you'll see the option to take advantage of phonetic untranslates, and you'll also see that you can choose between basic and intelligent phonetics. For even better translation, you'll want to put a check in the box next to Translation Magic, which is the subject of a separate visualizer presentation. Here the same steno was written 3 times. The first time with phonetic untranslates turned off. The second time using basic phonetics. And the third time using intelligent phonetics. Which
You see what they're telling you right there?
Intelligent, is that the AI, the
Artificial intelligence.
on the, yeah, so it like guesses what you're trying to write and it comes
Yeah.
out purple, but it's
Mhm.
words.
Yeah. Okay, so depending on what setting you have it on, if you want it off, it's going to come out just like this. It's not going to guess anything. So if it's not in your dictionary, it's going to come out like that. If you have basic, then it's going to come out like this. But if you have the the artificial intelligence on, then it's going to try to really guess what you were trying to do. Okay?
That doesn't sound too safe, right? Or I wouldn't.
The artificial. or
I like it. I like it. But, I mean, it's up to you. You know? Most of the time it picks pretty close, if not the right one. Okay? But as you build up your dictionary, then it's going to know what you're doing. Okay?
takes advantage of the spelling dictionary. I'll go to the programming section of my Eclipse user settings to see what's contained in the phonetics table. Here's a typical phonetics table that's created for you automatically when you install Eclipse. Each of the lines in the table follows the format steno equals text. I'll choose a simple line and use the modify button to see what it means. When Eclipse sees the steno SP, it understands it's part of a word spelled with SP. Now here's a different line that has a bit more to it. When Eclipse sees the steno TKPW, it basically expects this steno is used to spell a word that has G in it. But it also considers the spelling GH as it's figuring out what your steno means.
You understand what it's trying to tell you there? I mean, this is getting way in depth with things that they're trying to do, okay? So like if you're trying to say, or you had to write ghetto, and it's G-H-E-T-T-O, okay? Instead of G-E-T-T-O. That's where it's telling you right there. Basic spelling, intelligent spelling, okay?
Now for a line that has quite a bit more to it. When Eclipse sees the steno TPH, it first considers the spellings N and IN, but it also tries out these additional spellings. And of course it uses the spelling dictionary to avoid creating nonsense suggestions.
And all of these things should be set up already. They should be set up already, so I mean it's kind of redundant what they're going over. So most of this stuff should be in there already, okay?
Now let's look at the vowel keys. When Eclipse sees the steno EU, it considers these basic spellings first, then these additional possibilities. In this line, the capital E is simply a way of indicating the silent E at the end of the word. For instance, bite or passive. In other words, I is the vowel sound, but there's a silent E at the end of the word. You can add to the phonetics table. However, don't delete a whole line. Instead, modify it if it does not agree with your steno theory. So if you would never write steno STK to mean these spellings, you should change it to something very basic that it does mean for you. Hopefully this will help you understand how, with a bit of tweaking and perhaps some guidance from the technical support staff, you can obtain the best possible results from your Eclipse translation and ever more intelligent suggestions from Global Magic.
Got it? Hmm?
Is there more stuff that's way too much?
No, I mean that stuff that should already be in there. But if you want to modify it because your STK means something different, maybe it means ADV, which is mine. Is it? Yeah, STKR is my like ADV. So to do advise, I do STKR long I S. So advice, stuff like that, okay? But if it doesn't work for you and it comes up that way and you want it to mean sadistic, I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff out. And you do it SD long IS and it's coming out ADV, then that's how you go in and change it. Okay? So, I mean, most of them are going to match up to what you need it to. But if you don't, then that's how you change the phonetics. Okay? That's all on that one. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this either. Prefixes and suffixes, guys. What is it? Hyperkeys. Are you serious?
Oh, W.
W. Guys, this should be one you're using all the time. All the time. Delete, prefixes, suffixes, find, global, mark, up, down, right, left, capitalize,
Yes.
insert. All of these should be ones that you're using all the time. Okay?
Not prefixes and suffixes.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
You just add your S.
You don't have to do it. Now what you're doing,
Same when you're writing. Just, I always make sure I get that S.
you get it every time. It's right every time.
For the most part, I can't recall.
For the
the
most
time
part.
where it's
For the
not.
most part. And say they said, did she asks a lot of questions. Well, it needed to be asked, but you wrote asks. How do you change it?
I wouldn't know. I'd probably get an error because I would leave it where I wrote it.
But you know that it's wrong and you're editing and you're going through there and you need to change it.
That's when you would like put the cursor over the word asks and hit W and then hit D.
And
So
hit
you're
D.
not having to delete the ES and put ED or the S and adding a D. You're
Yeah,
just
you don't have to
going over
insert
with
anything.
W
You know what,
and
I'm gonna
D
show you right
changes
now.
it for you.
I mean, you know how to do it, right? I mean,
Or
it just
they
get
say
on
ours.
approached. And it's supposed to be S, approaches, see? But you wrote approached. So now you don't have to go to the end of the word. Backspace, in, ID, you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to do all of that. All you have to do is get somewhere in this word see? So you can get anywhere in that word, okay? So suppose it's supposed to be based, okay? It's supposed to be based, all right? Well, you wrote bases. Well, you can be anywhere in there, anywhere in that word, okay? Press W, it needs to be based. You press D, and see how it changed it? You can be anywhere in that word and do W. I'm telling you guys, this one is important. That one is way important. Prefixes and suffixes. And you're going to use it all the time, trust me. You're going to use it all the time. So remember that one. So when I ask you in about 3 minutes what prefixes and suffixes are, and you don't remember, you're going to get whacked with a stick. And on the prefixes and suffixes, you can go in there and change them. So if that letter doesn't modify to something that you needed, or most of the letters are to what you needed. S is a plural, D is ED, A is usually, I think it's ability, you know, and stuff like that. So you can go through, and where it says add, I think on the other one it says like modify. On the real one. This is in the tutorial, so it might say like modify. You can come in here and modify. So if you need A to be ability instead of ably, you can change it, okay? But ability is already in there. But say you want I to be ABLY and A to be ability, you can change it, okay? Slick?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I guess I stack. So I meant to say, no, sir, I do not. But I wrote, no, sir, do I not. So my do and my I are together.
Okay.
How do I edit it to where it'll come up on the side, to where my artificial intelligence will pick it up? If I edit it this one time, I want it to catch it so it shows up here next time. I don't, why would editing these be an option?
I don't know. Highlight it. No. Global it, I'm sorry. Exit. Global. It doesn't come up as an option. So you can set it up one of two ways. You can set it up as a conflict, where you write do I or I do. Do you write them the same way? Doing? Does it get confused?
I didn't think about that. I don't think I do.
Well, if you never do, then just do I.
But there, I thought there was.
Or I do.
There was a certain way to where every time I stroke it, it knows, like, I thought there was like a flipping formula. Because I'm stacking.
No, it's called a conflict. So it's going to set it up as I do or do I,
So
if that's what you want to do.
I have to do it this way. There's no way to fix it to where it'll show up on
It
the
is
side.
going to show up there once you fix it the first time. It's going to know that you fixed it. Obviously, you haven't ever put it in there. So put it in there, I do. Is that what you want? No, sir, I do not, yeah. So type I do.
But then it's just gonna automatically translate. I want
It's going to from now on. It doesn't know it right now, so that's why it's not right here. So from now on, you have to put it in there first in order for it to put it in. Because the more you use the software, the more it's going to know what you're doing.
I just thought there was a way to edit it right here, and then it'll start picking it up every time I edit it.
That's how you do it.
By
You
just
have to
adding
put it in your dictionary first. It has to be in there, because if it's not in there, it's not going to know. It has no idea what you're trying to do.
I think you
It
do.
has no idea that you were stacking.
It's either that or the
You have to add stuff to your dictionary.
intelligence is the one that picks it
Yeah,
up.
just write I
If
do
it's turned on,
and put it in your dictionary.
but otherwise it won't automatically do it, but it'll show up from now on the other side, but it won't do it on your actual document. It won't put it in for you.
Not back up.
But it'll be an option on the side.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
See, now it's coming up as these different things now. Just by putting that one thing in there, now it's picking up different things.
I don't want these, I just wanted.
Well, then don't use them. You don't have to use them. It's just giving you, the more you use it, the more it's going to give you suggestions.
The more
You don't have to use
Yeah.
them.
It'll be the number one, like the more times you use it from the, like picking number one, number two, number three, the more you choose it, it'll always be number
Yeah,
one.
but it didn't give me the right option to choose the right option.
Because it's not in your dictionary. So it doesn't know. It's not that smart.
And then I just have to define everything. It's
You have to define what?
I have to define everything. I thought there
Well,
was
yeah, the
nothing.
first time. After you've defined it, then it's gonna know. But if you never define it, then it's never gonna know what you're trying to do. It's smart, but it ain't that smart.
So when you change it to the do I, from now on, it should give you an option over here. When you write it DOI, later on, it doesn't translate, it should give you the option right here on the side.
It is though, because it's in my dictionary.
It is. But you have to have it in your dictionary. You have to use this software in order for it to know what you're doing. And you have to put these things in your dictionary if that's the way that you write. Don't be scared to put stuff in your dictionary. Artificial intelligence is going to help you get through this. But if it's not in your dictionary, it's not going to come up as an option because it's not going to know whether that was a prefix suffixes of doi chis. Say you were trying to write Deutsches, I don't even know what that is, but just for argument purposes. Or if you were trying to write I do. It has no idea because you've never defined either one of those things. So you have to put it in there first in order for it to help you, in order for it to start helping you. Okay? Make sense? Huh? What doesn't make sense?
I mean, it makes sense. I just could have sworn that there was another way for the artificial intelligence just to pick it up by me editing it. And I remember you telling me that I had to edit it a certain way, otherwise it wouldn't know to pick it up next time. But you never said anything about having to put it in my dictionary.
You have to. That's
No.
part of editing it.
No, I think she's talking about when you said that when we say we're going over the arrow and we mark it, and then we're gonna global it.
Yeah.
We have to pick the options 1, 2, or 3
Yeah.
in the little box, and
Yeah.
then it remembers the
Yeah.
next time when we come back to
Yeah.
it. If we misstroked it, it'll guess if that's the word that we're looking for, but
Yeah.
it does have to be in your dictionary.
It has to be in your dictionary.
It does have to be.
So now go to I do, where you were, and now mark that again. Like you're gonna global it. Now it should give you options, doesn't it? Did you mark it or you got a global G? Because that's the only thing that you've put in there. So it doesn't give you any options of anything else because that's the only thing that you've defined it as. So if you want to define it as or create a conflict, then you can. As I do or do I. Okay?
Occasionally, you'll need to add a prefix or suffix while editing. You can click on a toolbar icon or open the Edit menu to insert a prefix or suffix, or press Hyper key W. At this dialog, G is a shortcut. And
See, we're going through there. It says add or delete. You can change these things to whatever you want. Okay?
this time I'll use the shortcut D. And of course, these suffixes were added with the proper spelling adjustments. Much more could be said about prefixes and suffixes, but this is the subject of a separate in-depth ePower video tutorial which shows you step by step how to take advantage of the prefixes and suffixes kit.
That's crazy, there's one more tutorial, this is the second tutorial of the first one.
Oh, trust me. I mean, they have stuff still ongoing that you can go online and go in depth. Trust me, you can do so many things with this. With the software, it's crazy. Okay, I think that's where we're going to end. Do y'all have any questions about what we went over today? Guys, we went over a lot of stuff, a lot, okay? Any questions about what we went over? We're gonna finish next week.
Finish
So-
what?
Finish these, the rest of the tutorials, or 2 weeks. We're gonna completely finish. So if we get done at 8, great. If we get done at 9, great. If we get done at 10, we're staying till we finish, okay? But, I mean, I don't wanna overdo you with all of this stuff, okay? So work on the stuff that we did, and I'm gonna come back next week and we're gonna talk about those lists also in the block files, okay? And then start bringing your machines, because we're gonna start getting on the machines too, all right? I don't know that we'll get on them next week, but it's gonna start, if it's not next week, it's gonna be, I mean, in 2 weeks, it's gonna be right after that. All right? Any questions? No? All right, we'll see y'all next week.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, we're done.